Hi everybody, it's Bart at High Tech Motorsport, Elk River, Minnesota, 763-712-9088. Want to do a public service announcement this morning for people. This is kind of how you want to look at a car before you buy it and get more information about it so you don't get screwed. So here's the problem with buying a bunch of these old cars, these old race cars or purported to be race cars. The guy wants to sell you, or the girl, they want to sell you this thing under whatever cost. Now, one of my customers bought this car out of Indiana. The guy claimed it was 650 horse small block. It's not, it's a mess. We had to do a bunch of work to even get the thing to run halfway decent. It came in for just a tune. So far we've got 2,600 bucks worth of labor and parts in it, so it could be driven. Guy does want to street race it. So let's go over a few things that we can just basically look at. When you buy a car from somebody, let's do some basic thoughts here. My customer got dinged pretty badly on this. He likes cars, he's a really good guy, but this guy that sold him this car zinged him up. First thing that comes up when you ask a guy how much horsepower does the car make, because that's important when you're buying a car that's going to rock and roll and race, do some street racing with. If the guy says this is a small block 355, it does have aluminum heads, it's got a dual plane intake, Edelbrock, non-air gap, it's too low for this. You can see right away they had to put a plenum enhancer in here. This is a 2-inch phenolic spacer just because the thing wouldn't get enough air inside of it. When we got this car, we were just supposed to be in for a tune, put on the dyno, nothing's working. We had to put an alternator on it. There was no alternators, running electric water pumps, the battery's going dead, ignition system isn't working real well. We fixed a bunch of stuff with suspension. This was in the back. You'll notice that's how they put together the fuel system. So we got a great big kink right there. We had to replace that. This guy who put this car together, you can take a look at the tires, they're all worn out. Ball joints are all original, nothing's been changed. We took the fenders out of it to make it lighter, I guess. And anytime you see this corrugated purple, pink, red, or black shit, run away. The guy this is a waste of everybody's time. It just gets in the way of what's happening. Pretty is not fast, and I don't think that's pretty anyhow, so let's just kind of go with it from there. Anyway, so after we got the alternator all hooked up, had to put a pulley on it because it didn't have one. There's actually castle nuts down here that go on the suspension that he put on and left on upside down without cotter keys. It had one small fan in the front, one small pusher fan, which was never going to cool this thing down. So we added 2 puller fans on the inside on the electrical circuit. If a guy, when he talks to you about performance of the vehicle, he should have time slips if it's a drag car, with the date, the time, everything else in the drag strip. And it should also have a dyno sheet, either wheel or engine dyno, that shows what the thing makes. Just because a guy says it makes 650 horse doesn't make it true. But when you find a car that's as cobbled together as this crap right here, run. Just skip it. It's a decent straight body and the underside's okay, but you get stuff like this that's going to make your life miserable. You got stuff like the brakes aren't great, like the front end's out of alignment. Just take a good look. If you are unsure about a car, take it to a local shop. Never buy something sight unseen. Never, ever, ever. Unless you know the person, they're part of your family, and you trust them with your children's lives, or you want to make sure you're not getting screwed. And that's what this car is all about. So you can look around this car. We're going to put a few pictures up here because we put this on the dyno after we got it all done. We immediately blew the radiator cap off. We checked it. Either head gaskets are out of it, the block is cracked, or we've got a problem with head gaskets, block, or a cylinder head that's cracked. Puke coolant everywhere, and you can see from around here, one big problem is I know that this customer stored this in cold storage in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and if you look at the coolant, there's no coolant in it. It's almost all water, if not all water. So it may have happened during storage. But we put it on the dyno, whipped it up, first pull, made 304 horse at the wheels. It's about 400 crank out of a 355. This intake manifold is not capable of 650 horse. It cannot move enough air. I don't know about the cylinder heads because I couldn't find any numbers on them. I don't know what they are. But single 4-barrel making 650. This thing should have laid down 500 plus wheel horse, and there's 355 cubic inch with this setup. Is not possible to do that. It's a pure ass lie. So you can look at some of the other things that are cobbled up, go in the inside video guy and just show them how everything's kind of put together by So once again, people, okay, once again, we got purple stuff everywhere. The tack does not work. They just cut holes and stuff. They did do a panel here that's got everything marked correctly, so that's actually halfway decent. The distributor did not work in the car. It started out at 14 degrees and went backwards to 10 degrees. It's all worn out and shot, so we had to put a new distributor into it also, so then it worked better. You know, just look at it. Don't look at the shiny paint and let the guy bamboozle you about time slips. At High Tech Motorsport, for $100, we have the car come in, we put it up on a hoist, we'll check everything out, we'll make recommendations, look for stuff that's cobbled together, and give you a list, because I don't want anybody to get screwed when they're buying something that could cost them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars more just because of the fact they didn't do their due diligence. It's much better to pass on a deal that may be okay than to get hoodwinked in something like this where you're going to be just biting the bullet and either fixing it or putting a motor in it or whatever it's going to be. So don't believe everything you hear. I know it's on the internet and it's true, but we got that part figured out. Anyway, this is Bart at High Tech Motorsport. Signing off for now. We're going to put this bad boy up, and if you have any questions, it's 763-712-9088, or I'll try to get back on the video on the bottom if you have comments and questions. But fun is fun, junk is junk. See you guys.